Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We are back again with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we've got a wonderful, wonderful guest today, Charlotte Mabry, who runs the #1 team in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're going to talk to her about how she's built that team and the lessons that she's learned over her 30 years of being in the business. And she's got a few years on my co-host. As always, I am your certified Greg Wrangler. Joining me in the co-pilot seat is Greg McDaniel, who is just a baby in the industry at 15, 16 years.
16 years, please. My goodness. I'm 14 years shy of Charlotte, but you know what? That doesn't change a damn thing. You guys, you know what? So Matt and I were talking off air before Charlotte got on. You guys know that I did that modeling headshot thing the other day, and I posted the photo. And I got to tell you, Matt, I think the 70s or the 80s called and they want their photo back. I mean, it's very like Magnum PI, kind of like James Bond looking thing going on.
I was thinking Wall Street, like
Wall
as
Street?
in the 80s movie, not the place.
Oh, I'm like, Wall Street, what are you talking about? Yeah, but no, I got a lot of weird and strange comments. Both people were flirting, hating, loving, being kind, because I knew they really just didn't like it. And I don't know what the fifth one is. I haven't had completely gnarly comment just yet. But hey, you guys, you can go to my Facebook. It's a pretty much an open account. Go give me your thoughts on it. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Friend me on Facebook, please. I want to be friends with all of you guys. We're doing Facebook Lives all the time now. And Matt, I will share something new with you. We can now go Facebook Live on our page. So our Real Estate Uncensored Facebook page, you can go live on it now. I can go live on it now. It's awesome.
Didn't you say it's now available for Android devices?
It is now available for Android devices as well. To go live on your Facebook page, guys, you need to go get the Pages app on your phone. And once you download that, go to your page. If you don't find it, log out, log back in, and it should be there. So go take a look at it. It's going to be a great way to talk to your people.
Interesting. I didn't know that you needed to download something separate. The last time I heard was Facebook Live as part of the normal Facebook app, and it's going there, and you click on the icon of the person's head with the circles around it.
Right, it is. That's for your personal page. This is
you're talking
your
about
professional
business page. Gotcha.
Yeah, your business page. Now we can do business page. Now we can do Android. So iOS, it's global. Android, they're just rolling it out. So be patient if you don't have it yet.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah, so make sure to follow Greg on Facebook and check it out. I noticed you posted one here this morning that I still have not had a chance to watch, nor did I join you live. I know, because I'm a horrible
You hater.
host.
Your co-hosting title demoted. You're not.
That's right. All right. Well, let's bring in our special guest, and then we've got a question from the Facebook group. We've got a shout-out to a few people as well as some sponsors to get to, and then we'll dig into her experience and some of the lessons that she's learned. So, Charlotte Mabry. Charlotte, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Hope your Friday is so great so far too.
It is. It's absolutely. It's beautiful here, out here in California, and so you're in Tennessee on the wonderful Central Time Zone, which I'm intimately familiar with, being from Nebraska and Iowa.
Believe it or not, I am on the border. I'm actually on Eastern.
Are you really?
Between Nashville and Chattanooga is where the line is. So
nice.
Nashville is Central, but we in the bottom right corner of the state, we're on Eastern.
All right. Well, that shows you how much I should spend more time in the great state of Tennessee. But
absolutely.
So tell us, kind of give us the quick bio version of who you are, and obviously we know you're in Chattanooga, but tell us kind of how you got into the business and what your team looks like right now.
Sure. I started 30 years ago. Actually, June of this year is my 30th year. When I started, there were no cell phones, no computers, really no fax machine, none of that.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so believe it or not, you can sell real estate with a multiple listing book that we would all go in a pickup truck and pick up once a week and hand them out to the agents. And so times have changed just a little bit. We would go out in parking lots and meet people at night to swap paperwork. It's a wonder we didn't all get arrested, right? And all of that. And so went from there about 10 years ago. One of the gentlemen that owned a company, I told him many times, thank you for this. I said, hey, this is a really cool idea. I'd like to have a team and put together a team. And he said, well, you know, Charlotte, that'll never work. And I have thanked him several times for that because I'm the type of person, I'm like, well, let me just tell you, yeah, it will work. And so had a team of some sort over the past 20 years, done everything wrong you could think of. If you want to know how to do it wrong, just ask me. And so we did all those things wrong. And finally, 4 or 5 years ago, figured out what to do right. And so we have 7 buyer specialists on our team. I haven't had a buyer in the car with me in probably 10 years. And so I like sellers, as you can tell.
Hmm.
And then I'm mostly out of production. I actually have 4 listing partners right now. The rest are administrators, ISA department. We're just really getting ISA department up and running. And so that's where we are today in the good old 2016, 30 years later.
And I wanted to mention a couple of things that we discussed off the air as far as why I'm excited to interview you and why people will get a lot out of this interview. So you have been, for the last 3 or 4 years, the #1 team in your market. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So obviously we're going to talk about building a locally dominant team. We're going to talk about ISAs and how you're incorporating them. We're going to talk about the disc profile and maybe some of the mistakes that people might be making when they're bringing on admin staff and agents. I mean, we're going to get into some cool things, but there was one thing in particular that you mentioned that I'm really excited about, which is you are going through and kind of looking at your team right now with an eye towards exiting and with an eye towards retirement, and just what do you do as an agent to set up a business that runs without you so that you can exit and still either have some sort of involvement or possibly even sell it. And so we're going to get into some of the things that you're looking at and maybe some restructuring things that not only people with current teams need to do, but also if you're an agent starting out, what are some of the ways that you can structure your team now so that you have a retirement plan and an exit plan in place going forward.
Right. And you don't have to wait 30 years in. How about 3 years in? That would be, to me, a good business model to be able to do that. I mean, I'm not inventing or reinventing anything other than just following Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Before I was ever at Keller Williams, I had a copy of that book, first edition book, and have followed that. The models are changing a little bit in that, but that's everyone building, particularly a team, needs to look ahead and say, okay, if I get smushed by a truck tomorrow, what have I done for those people who are on my train with me? Am I leaving them hanging? So it's something to really think about.
No, you're right. I mean, we have the first edition. I've showed this more than a few times, Charlotte. This is, you've seen the
absolutely right.
Well,
my cover actually looks different than that. There was a cover that was different than that before that one came out.
Oh, you're showing me up.
I know.
Sorry, I'm old age. Okay.
Hey, you know what? You were talking about getting the MLS delivered in pickup trucks. My father used to tell us stories that the MLS book would be delivered in a taxi in Boulder, Colorado. And I'm like, why is it getting delivered in a taxi? Just get it in, just go online. He's like, no, Greg, you're an idiot.
Wait, somebody just Uber it or TaskRabbit it over?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your dad just punches you in the face. Just like, okay. All right, so let's get to a quick question, then we'll give some shout outs. So there was a question on the Facebook group. This is the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group, started by another great KW agent, Aaron Wittenstein, up in New York. It's got about 18,000 agents and growing. So there's a gal that asked, what do you do when a seller isn't being realistic about pricing? So you can take this in 2 directions if you want to, Greg. So we'll start with you. And what do you say from both a salesmanship, in terms of scripting, and then maybe in terms of preventing the problem to begin with?
Well, if you want to prevent it, just tell them to go kick rocks. But realistically, what you'd want to do is when you're sitting at the table, either at the dining room table or in your office, wherever you're meeting this client, and they're saying, "I want to list it for $750," and you're sitting there going, "You're freaking nuts! It's a $500,000 home." So calmly breathe in. Don't say that out loud. It's a good surefire way to lose the listing. Just a heads up. But what I would do is I do this. I say, okay, Matt and Julie, 3 12-pound babies. Help me understand, how you guys came to this number. Is there a comp that maybe I left out? Is there something I'm unaware of that makes that would make your home stand out in the marketplace more than I had seen? And I allow them to basically fall on their own sword. I want to understand exactly what they're doing and where they're getting this information, because if it's just pure greed, then you're going to waste my freaking time, and you're going to waste my money, and you're going to waste, your nerves are going to get shot. But if there's something I didn't know, and we're all humans, right? So there's always a way that you could have missed something, and if you did miss something, accept it, let them have the ego boost, and move forward. Now, you have the option to either take a $250,000 overpriced listing and just sit there and get a bad reputation and let it rot on the tree, and then let them get like $400,000 offers, and you look like an idiot. You could do that, but I wouldn't recommend that. What I would recommend is I would use logic, break it down to them, understand their real reason why they're going to be trying to get that price. Are they trying to net it out at a certain amount so they can move forward? Are they trying to, show off and get the biggest price in the neighborhood because they got big egos? What is it? And then feed to that and find that reason why. When we were off air, Charlotte and I were talking that Howard Britton from Star Power, that used to be a phenomenal organization, he had a phrase called going 3 deep. Ask the first question, ask 3 additional questions behind that, so you get down to that core value. If they're not going to be reasonable, guys, honestly, don't take the listing. For $250,000 or something like that, it's not going to be worth your time, but be polite and considerate about it. But if you can show them logic and you can get them within $75,000 or just a number that makes somewhat sense, they aren't going to be laughed off, the broker's tour. Put it into your listing agreement that, okay, we'll go on at $600,000 right now. It's $500,000 home. We know we're overpriced. In 14 days, if we do not have an offer or we have not gotten at least 1 showing per day, we will come together and we will reassess the market's condition. Don't tell them, you know what, you're a fool. I told you it wouldn't work, and we're going to reduce it down to mine. You'd want to actually just say, look, let's come together as a team, let's reassess what the market is telling us and correct the price. But you have to put it in the listing agreement up front so they know the expectations. And if you get the higher price, rock and roll. If you come together like you're going to and you readjust the price, be kind, considerate, and move forward.
Now, Charlotte, I'm chuckling partially because I know I come from a market where the average price point is $180,000, and I don't know if that's around what it is in Chattanooga. I imagine it's pretty similar, yeah. So I'm chuckling over here as we're talking about like being $250,000 overpriced. Like that's a 5-bed, 4-bath home.
Yeah.
But
you get a garage for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you're outside the crazy Bay Area and you're in a market, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Charlotte, that maybe you have some more ammunition, because in a market where the average price point is like 180 to 200,000, I feel like there's you're only dealing with maybe differences of 5 to 10,000 when a seller is unreasonably overpriced, and you can usually nail them down on comps. I feel like the comps are easier to find when you're dealing in that price point. I don't know if that does that bear out?
Typically so. In our market, we're a little rural in some areas, so when we're in neighborhoods, it's very easy. When you get outside, and we do have some wheel estate out there too, some trailers and things, so of a few things along the way. But most of ours is fairly easy to discern. Ultimately it's scripting. I think you come down to, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can appreciate your view on this data here. But let me tell you, I'm really, really good at marketing, but I do not control the market. And, ultimately, I'm not going to be able to control this. And so here's what the market's telling us. I like your idea of being able to put in the listing agreement, hey, we're going to mark these things down, as time goes on, because ultimately the market does tell you that. I think storytelling is always a good thing. If you know stories, like I can give you a good example of a home I sold a few years ago, and it was around a $400,000 home, so it was a little high end for Chattanooga. I know you're really impressed by that, but anyway, $400,000 house. But there were 2 of them side by side in a neighborhood, and they were identical homes, same floor plan. One of the people, they were both custom built, but they were the same house, same floor plan. One of them had bricks shipped in from Spain. I kid you not. And so they had spent all this extra money on these bricks that were shipped in from Spain. Well, when it came time to sell the home, and actually these 2 homes were for sale at the same time, do you think the buyer cared that house next door had Spanish bricks on it? No, they didn't. And so they were looking for the same price house. And when they can go next door, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and get the exact same house for less money, which house, Mr. Seller, do you think they bought? And that's a true story. That's a true story. Ultimately, and you'll find this out through the years of doing this, you don't want to take an overpriced listing unless there's extenuating circumstance of maybe they're buying something else, and it comes down to their motivation. How motivated are these people? Yeah. If they have to sell, and if they're not transferred in 30 days, they're going to die. There's motivation. We want that. and you might be willing to take something, again, with your plan of maybe lowering it in 14 days. The most powerful thing in a listing presentation is to thank people for their time and get up and walk out the door. I've had people chase me down the hall, down the sidewalk, wait, and I said, some people will do anything and tell you anything just to put a sign in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want that? No, you don't want that. You want someone who's being honest with you, right, Mr. Seller?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, I do. I do not want a liar, cheap scoundrel representing me.
That's right. Well,
let's
quickly dive into that real quick. I'm curious on the marketing plan. Since you do have the leverage of a team and you have some admin and support staff, is there anything that you guys are able to offer to sellers because you have that leverage, which gives you an advantage over, let's say, a solo agent?
Absolutely. With a team situation, there's always a set of eyes on things all the time. And when you're dealing with just one single agent, Mr. Seller, that agent's got to run out there and grab and meet the appraiser out there. And he's got to put a sign out, and he's got to send the advertising over here. Well, I found out a long time ago the good Lord did not make me a secretary, right? I'm not good at that, but I'm a great salesperson. So by spending my time out and about finding a buyer for my seller, I have staff who takes care of those things. And there occasionally we forget to do things, right? So I've got staff who are paid you might not, but I forget things. And so I pay my staff so they don't forget those things, and they make sure all the pieces of paper are associated and appropriated. And we just find that not only do we divide those responsibilities, we even divide on our team those who work with buyers and those who work with sellers, because we find that agents tend to have skill sets on one side or the other of that.
Charlotte, there's something that we use on our team, and I know that you guys could potentially use this for you. What we do when we're going up on a listing appointment, yes, it is my father who is our senior partner, then our business partner Chris Callahan and myself. We're the three partners on the team, and so yes, my dad and I are family, and Chris is like family. But what we tell them is that at all times you'll have one partner on the ground, guaranteed, in case anything goes to hell in a handbag. But even though we're family, we don't vacation together. So that's a strength, because husband and wife teams or single agents. A single agents, look, you're going to vacation with yourself.
Well, someone is always available all the time.
Yes.
And there's a listing a partner that's signed to every property. And as well as an administrator, and so they always have someone day or night to text, call, email, whatever. So
whatever you need. The communication level is one of the things that people have such a hard time with. Not getting that communication, people freak out and lose their minds. And with your team and our team, it's the same thing. Look, we are there, we're on point, we got you covered. Don't worry, you're safe, and that's huge for people. That's why you're kicking so much rear end down there.
Well, it's that S word of systems. We've got those systems. I'm sorry, I hated to mention it, but do we get it right all the time? No, trust me, we don't.
I can't believe you came on the podcast and cursed at me.
I'm sorry.
That's right. For anyone that wasn't listening to us backstage before we went live, we were joking around about how Greg is allergic to systems. Yeah. Thankfully, he has an admin, a team manager who is very good at that.
I think I'm catching a cold now.
What do you say we give a few people some shout outs, and then we'll dig into kind of the team building aspects, as well as some of the techniques that's used to take listings and become a dominant team in our market. What do you think?
Yeah, man, let's do this. This is going to be good stuff today.
All right. Well, number one, just want to give a quick thank you to Viral Marketing for helping make podcasts and hangouts like these happen. They do a great job of running Greg's real estate video blog there in the Bay Area. Charlotte, they actually run your video blog there in Chattanooga.
Yay!
So. Yeah, that's right. They are awesome. If anybody would like their help getting more repeat and referral sales from their database, make sure to check them out at getviral.com. Remember that viral is with a Y. And then a quick thank you also to Equity with 2 Qs. So equity.com, that's online buyer lead generation. It's built from the ground up for solo agents. It's in beta right now, so if you're in the Bay Area, it is there and available. Get in touch with Greg about that. If you are anywhere else in the country, it's coming. But if you'd like to bring it to anywhere that you're at in the country or in Canada, you can rustle up 4 other agents, and they can bring it there and get that set up for you. So again, get in touch with Greg about that. He'll hook you up, answer any questions that you have. So Greg, who do you want to shout out?
I got some amazing people, Matt. I had some incredible conversations since the last time we talked on Wednesday. I talked to Joe on Wednesday night. What a cool dude, man. He and I had talked before, kind of impromptu conversation, and he wanted to make sure he would give it back to me, so he brought some great tech tips. I gave him some great tips. We had a great conversation. Josh, talked to him for the second time last night. He's the one that picked up the request on air, remember, when we dropped it?
That's right.
And he just, bam, hit me up about that quickly. So we had a great conversation, but we came up with something interesting, Matt. We're going to do the 60-day challenge.
Okay.
So he accepted, he a little begrudgingly, but he accepted. For 60 days, you have to go spend time in a Starbucks, a Pete's. I know this is hard for you, Matt. You live there, so this is like visiting home. But you have to go to some area that's social, and you have to do a live video on Facebook talking about where you are and have them come and find you. If they do, you'll have $100 that you're going to be giving away free in coffee. So, like, if Charlotte came there and you went there and I went there and John's the agent, well, the cashier would say, you know what, this is a free on John over here, blah blah blah. And so he's going to do this for 60 days, and this is the reason why, because I honestly believe, and I'm going to do this as myself, because if you go somewhere you haven't been ever, or at least in a year, you can change it up a lot. One, it's a game, right? And two, you're using high-end social media stuff that's brand new and gets pushed to the top of the news feed, so you stay relevant. And second off, remember I talked to you about Dick Ward, who was one of the guys that I worked with when I was younger, and he had the 2,500 deals a year closing rate, right? Well, he handed out 25 business cards every day. That's how he got started. So why couldn't you hand out like 20 to 25 cards doing this exact thing with people you've never met? And so my prediction is this. Josh already did 2 Facebook Lives today, and he was at one at a Starbucks, and he has someone coming down to meet him. So
nice.
Challenge is on, people. If you want to do this, hit me up on my phone and let me know. I have two openings right now, guys. I have March 31st is an open date. Someone canceled. So if you want it, text me. And that's 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978 is the McDaniel Challenge. And then I have April 5th open. That's another date that Josh was on, and we moved him up. And then besides that, guys, we are taking bookings. Where's my damn calendar? Starting the 19th. So if you guys want it, hit the McDaniel Challenge, get an hour of free coaching or more, because I usually go like an hour and a half, and get out of your own damn way, and let's make this happen for you. And Claudio, he watches at least 1 to 2 videos, so shout out to you, buddy. Big knuckles, man. Really appreciate it. And bam, I'm done.
Okay. Awesome. Drop the mic. Okay. All right, Charlotte. So we've got a lot of cool things to cover. So let's get into it. So take me back in terms of when you're coming up and just establishing yourself as an agent and as a team leader. So obviously you've built up your skill set as an agent. You work with a lot of buyers, work with a lot of sellers. So let's focus on the listing side. So what are maybe one or two really key skills that you had to develop that gave you a leg up in terms of being a listing agent and working with sellers?
I think there's so many levels of things, but number one is being trusted and being known in real estate circles. So it's easy to start with buyers when you first start. So you got to get out there with some traction, but every buyer that you speak to either has a house to sell or knows someone that does. So that's a great way. As a new agent, you're going to start with those buyers first. Always be asking for listings, though, and get some traction. And so it's just a matter of, when I started, again, years ago, we were on floor duty a lot. So I took a lot of phone calls, get really good at your scripts. And then the real source of my business was my sphere of influence. And I came from a background of teaching music in public schools. I have a degree in music.
Serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, so teaching music. And, hey, music teachers make great agents. And so, I mean, if you look around the world, there's some great agents out there. But people didn't know me in real estate. They knew me in the music world. So it took a while to really build up a change in career where people knew me for that. So I think you just go after those buyers that are easy to get, ask for the listing opportunities. From a skill set standpoint, getting a house sold, doing whatever it takes to get a house sold, once you've got the traction, it comes down to getting it priced right. I even paired up with the other agents to get their advice. Hey, what if we co-list this together? So learn from those other folks. going and shadowing an agent is a great thing. When people come new on our team, we make them follow around like puppy dogs, everyone, so that we can be sure they are learning the way we do it. And so it's a great opportunity. And, most agents would be delighted for you to shadow them.
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding me? That's one of the biggest things that I know that we see in our market, you see in yours, is the fact that most agents, they come into the business with a couple of things they don't have and they desperately need. One is money. Two is leads. Three is a network. And they always want a mentor of some sort. So you providing, Charlotte, you providing that type of level of service to the agents, there's no wonder you have such a good core group of agents on your team, because you've given to them. Most brokers just take, here's a desk, here's a phone, slap on the butt, go knock your socks off. And you're really helping them, grow into the agents that they need.
Well, you can have people sell for you and with you for a certain amount of time because they're hungry. But to keep people on your team, I've got people here for 10 years, 7 years, 6 years, all of that. To keep that, there has to be an item of value. There has to be a life of value that we're giving them. So we as a team, we do book clubs together. We do activities together. We're learning. Again, it's the old teacher in me. Every Wednesday, we meet every Wednesday as a team. So we're doing training, coaching, teaching. I have agents coaching and teaching each other. And so it's a process. It's a lifelong learning process.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's very similar to what Jeff Cohn does. His team meets 3 times a week, actually. But it really helps that culture and keeps people there and engaged. Let's talk about the lead generation aspect of things. So in terms of providing value for agents so that they stick around, are you giving them leads in one form or another?
Yes, absolutely. On the buyer side, we have, again, for so many years, sphere of influence was our number one thing. About little over 8 years ago, I began a live radio show on our talk radio station here, which is our largest station in our area. And it was the part of the market where it was just dead. 2008, I guess, 2008 started.
Yeah.
And so we and so we started, that was the best business learning experience of my life. And I've learned a lot of lessons there. I'm very thankful to have had that experience. But so we started that, and that has grown into be about a third of our business. About a third of our business is our sphere of influence. The other third is made up of things like the internet, buyer, generation leads and all of that. So our agents, our listing agents, get a lot of come list me leads and come list me calls.
Nice.
Again, based on what we do on the radio and the proactive and the place where we are in the market now where people know us. And on the buy side, we have agents referring to each other as well. So there are a lot of referrals coming in. I'd say we average in that 500 leads a month range right now for all of our sources of leads.
Wow.
Nice.
500? Did I hear that right?
500.
Well, I mean, split between 12 people. I mean, it's 50 to 60 leads a month.
Right,
it's manageable. It's a little
high. Yeah.
Yeah, a little high. Do you worry about that at all? Do you limit it for certain people or?
Well, to be on our call schedule, we use the old-fashioned call schedule for our agents that are on duty. There are requirements. You have to maintain a minimum production. I used to do numbers of transactions. Now we just do sales volume because I just as soon get the money and not have them, have to do 20 transactions or whatever. But so we do that, and then they must keep up those standards to be able to get that. And the ones who close more volume get more call times.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Makes sense.
So, success breeds success, and rewards are perfect. All right, I like
Absolutely.
that. Okay. So let's go through the admin staff a little bit, and what are some of the roles that you brought on, kind of like some of the unique roles that are on your team, and then how are you compensating them, and where's that money coming from?
Right. Well, do you have a loan? Can I borrow some from you?
Well, I mean, in the sense that are you charging broker fees on top of your commission?
I got you. I am changing some of the way that we do some of our pay schedule right now, but I have 2 administrators that assist our agents. So I used to have just a listing administrator and then another administrator who just did the closings. And when you get to about 30 or 40 a month, it's a lot. And then at the time, we made this change a year or two ago. We were handling 100 listings, active listings at a time. We're about half that right now because of how the market is, which is awesome and bad at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we really, I made a change because our consumers, our clients, they got confused, okay? I was with this administrator, then I went to this administrator, and I've got this agent over, you know, it was just too confusing. Yeah. So we start and finish with the same administrator. So our administrators are take all of our agents, our 11 agents, and they're divided up between our between our 2 administrators. And so each administrator has a listing agent or 2 and has a set of buyer's agents. So any listings that come in, they are responsible for those listings to contact the seller and keep up with them. I do have a 3rd administrator who's just data entry, and so they are putting in listings and data entry, and also a phone answering, right, answering phone, that sort of thing.
Okay, so you've got basically a coordinator. They're handling both listings and buyers depending on the agents that they're working with, but they're working on one point of contact, and then within that they have someone that they can pass some of their lower level duties. So your administrators are on the like on a salary plus a bonus type structure?
Just salary. State of Tennessee freaks over bonus.
Do they really? Okay.
We're way behind the times in the state of Tennessee. Just trust me. Sorry if the Tennessee Real Estate Commission's listening. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, this show is called Real Estate Uncensored, so you.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's right. You say whatever you want. Okay. So before we dig into some of the other things like sphere of influence, and maybe we'll get into the radio side because I'm curious about a few things there. But before we get to that, so let's talk about like some of the changes that you are making right now to your team, and maybe some of the things that you would have done differently if you were building with the end in mind of retiring or exiting your business.
Wow, those are a lot of things there. As far as changes here right now, we are, one of my goals, I just was with a Keller Williams thing, hearing Gary Keller going, hey, you need to cut costs, The market's changing. Every 7 or 8 years, the market does change, and it's changing now. So I'm looking at ways to trim the fat here and there. So I had an administrator that wanted to try a career on her own. And so I have not replaced that person. So we've juggled some things around, and so I'm saving those monies. In that case, though, I do have an ISA coming on board. Hopefully, number 2, it will be on board shortly. There's some salary plus some. Again, they will achieve some bonuses via commission on that.
Okay, sure.
So we're just now ramping up ISA. My first goal for them will be to look into our sphere of influence. I'm going to use them a little differently in that while we will search for that cold call type business, our database needs loving on. I have close to 5,000 people in a database now that are past clients, customers, all of that sort of thing. And we have done a pitiful job of staying up with that. So we're going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. That's where we're starting, is with our sphere of influence. Gotcha. So that is a new change, and something that by the end of this year we will have that puppy cleaned up and rolling.
Okay. Now, are you going through Tim Heil's company or anything like that for ISAs, or just?
No, I have actually been through Tim Heil's training. He's awesome. He's so good at that. So I don't claim to know any of what he knows, but I have his business models in hand, and we have scripts and training and all for our thing. I do have a staff. I have a listing partner who is also has been a team leader in past, and so awesome. He is helping train my department.
Quick question. That's one of the cool things. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Greg. Go ahead.
But you're going to anyways, aren't you?
No, go ahead.
Oh, the ISAs for my market up here. We've hired 2 ISAs as well, but we've let them go because we were having doing phone calls into our database, but with a thick accent, it was a negative in our market. So we're looking at hiring someone that sounds like the rest of everybody up here. I mean, no racism at all about this. It's purely business. Thank big business for drowning the general public with that, but. Are you hiring local talent so you can train them around you?
Absolutely, absolutely. These are local guys. Absolutely. There's always been the virtual assistant thing out there, but particularly in the South, we want to be sure we are loving on our clients and customers in a way that they're comfortable with. So plus I love local. I want to buy a car local. I just want to support my local economy. And particularly since our clients are so good to us, we want to be, we want to help those clients here. So we do local.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing as well.
Yeah.
It's just they can speak the market.
Sure.
They know what's
They
going
live
on.
it.
Yeah, they live it. They know about Pete's Brass Rail, which is right around the corner, which is like everybody goes there for like a beer and food, right? I mean, everybody in
Right.
town. They can
Right.
talk about the beer wall. They can talk about the sandwiches. I mean,
Sure.
you do that out of country. Unfortunately, we
Right.
can't.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a quick word or so on using a team and using ISAs to follow up with your database. So it sounds maybe, I don't know, counterintuitive. I don't know how many people are doing it, but I did run across a good team that is doing it at a high level, which is Jason Shinpaw's team. He has his own brokerage out in, I think it's Coral Gables, Florida. It's kind of outside the Orlando area, and so his team out there, he has all of his agents are basically calling through not only their own personal sphere, but also his sphere, which I believe is around kind of the same general size as yours, Charlotte, because he's been in business for over 10 years.
Gotcha.
And they generate 60 or 70% of their business on referrals because they're
That's awesome.
always in the database, always calling.
We're projecting we can add at least another 100 transactions this year just by doing that. Just purely
You
looking
guys
at the
did
numbers.
350 last year?
Yeah, 450 is our goal this year, and all we're changing is bringing ISA in to really tackle that database.
Shit, that is a lot of deals that are in that pipeline, and people always say, "Oh, I'm a good follow-up person." Obviously, you're doing 350, and you're sitting there going, "I'm doing something wrong." You know that they're sure as hell they're doing something wrong.
Well, I don't know about them, but we are for sure.
So, what actually brought that realization to you? To front of mind. Were you looking at your database and you saw so many people that were listing with other agents? You're like, damn, we really suck at this, or what?
No, you get so busy and you run off and you do the internet thing, and then you run off and do the radio thing. When I started doing our radio show, we were inundated. I was not prepared, this was 8 years ago, to handle the amount of business we got. It was awesome. Now that we are set up to where our systems, the S word, the systems are back in place, I can handle that, and there's money sitting there, and I've just never had a system, an organized plan of attack to really go after something I've worked so hard for. It's sitting there, and I'm not making use of it. So, I mean, I can't help but win because, I mean, I've not had the business from it, so anything's an addition.
Yeah, that's totally 100% true, and I love that attitude, and you and I share the same thing. We work so hard. We got about 5,600 in our database, and you know what? We just really suck ass at doing our follow-up. I mean, thanks to Viral, they're seeing us.
Those are awesome, yeah.
Yeah, they're seeing us more and more, but besides that, I mean, whew,
yeah, and Greg, you have the additional problem of having a lot of physical mailing addresses and emails, and not a lot of phone numbers. So you're bringing an ISA that's going to call the people that you do have. But yeah, you guys you shot yourself in the foot a little bit by not preparing for the future by capturing phone numbers. So that's something
that's all
for any
you
new agent.
have to really sell out there is your database, and the work that you can assure someone would come from that. And so, that's first and foremost for an ISA, I think, is just to clean up what you've already got. Before you start adding to it, let's fix the problem that we have at hand.
Yeah, yep. Very true. All right, let's dig into to the radio side a little bit. So obviously this is something that's out of reach of the average run-of-the-mill agent, but obviously a lot of teams can get into this. Some markets are locked up in the sense of making it easy to buy advertising through a group like Rate, and so you may have to go through directly to the stations, or you may have to go through another ad agency, or whatever the case is. But if you have a team, it's something that's definitely a possibility, especially in smaller markets. So I'm curious, Charlotte. So you've got your own radio show. I'm assuming you're driving to like an 800 number, probably a capture website, and I'm assuming that most of the leads that you're generating off that tend to be listing leads, right?
It is. Most of radio drives listing leads, so that's really a great source for getting that. We do the guaranteed sale program, and that's what we preach and teach here, and so I'm known for that. But I will tell you what I do every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. every Saturday morning, live on the radio. That has just been the best thing I ever did. I'm so thankful I had the opportunity, and it steps outside of the typical advertising. But we started being out there on a show that was assuring people that the sky had not fallen, that real estate didn't die, it wasn't over. And, people I have the face for radio, of course, but people tell me that my voice is very reassuring. So I have built up, they estimate about 10,000 people that listen every Saturday in little old Chattanooga,
That's
Tennessee.
incredible.
And our talk radio has also been kind enough to let me sub for some of their on-air personalities from time to time when they're desperate.
Wow.
They let me fill in. And I've worked really hard to create a database within the radio station so that I take food to them a couple of times a year. I mean, nobody loves on radio people, so I do. And I really appreciate them. The other day I had an opportunity where Lori Grenier with Shark Tank was in Chattanooga for an event that I helped sponsor, and so I invited my sales rep from the radio station to come be at my table. And so I'm, always working that marketplace as well. But it just grew into that, doing some radio things, commercials. Again, you need advice from whether it's somebody to radio. They're going to sell you anything and everything they can. We do very targeted days, and we have a very targeted message, even down to the price point we ask for, because what we ask our people doing live reads and all for us, they're asking and talking about specific examples of things that have sold in specific price ranges, because I don't want wheel estate in South Alabama somewhere that, is a $25,000. That's not my market.
Yeah, so you're basically there, like when the on-air talent is reading your testimonials, you're choosing testimonials that are very targeted so that people like that respond and go, oh, that sounds like me, I should call them.
Right.
They can sell my $180,000 three-bed, two-bath.
Right. Right, and so we do things like, we are very good at selling expired listings. The script on that is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we specialize in selling homes other agents couldn't. And that's been an effective script. And so, and we have story after story. I've got one right now that was on the market with another agent for 7 months. We've had it listed for 3 weeks and have had 5 offers on it. So, so those are effective stories on radio, and they're true. I mean, that really is what's happening. So we just want to relay that out there. I'm working right now on doing a better job, and I love this Facebook Live, because I could then, radio is not visual, so now I can maybe pull that together so that on Saturday mornings I'm on Facebook Live. Yes, this is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can set up your camera. Make sure you're on Wi-Fi, though. Tap into your Wi-Fi, or it's going to eat through your data plan like a piranha through a chunk of meat.
I understand.
But yeah, man, you'll get so much live interaction. There's a TV host in LA that I follow her. She used to be here in the Bay, and she goes live all the time as she's doing her video. But then we'll be watching her, and she'll be watching the camera on TV. But she has hundreds of people interacting with her, and you've been doing it for so long. You'll get a lot of good interaction. Okay.
Well, this was worth my time to be here today, and anyone listening. And you guys do a great job and have a lot of great ideas. So I've got my one idea, so I'm going to put that into action. Awesome.
Well, good. Friend me on Facebook.
I will definitely do that.
Watch you when you go live on air.
Awesome. Thanks.
Well, cool. Well, let's getting back to the team building aspect. So your focus right now is to get your database up to the point, because you feel like that's kind of the heart of what your business potentially is worth, and what its value is to somebody else is the relationship with the database. And that's actually, it's absolutely true for any professional service, for any consultant, whatever the case is. But
right. Well, you can look at numbers and be very specific and say, okay, with this many people, based on even a crummy response rate, with terrible people who can't do, and of course we have wonderful people on our team, you can assure yourself of this amount of money. So if I have those systems in place, then that's something, a viable entity that I can sell to someone, and not just walk away with money and leave them hanging. They would actually have a business that would really work.
Yeah, exactly, and that's when most companies are sold. Sadly, they do not go well. Which is so in terms of getting back to the ability to kind of get out of the daily production. So I'm curious, because you mentioned that you are, for the most part, withdrawn from production. You still work with a few clients. I'm curious kind of what your role is now, and what is if there's anything that's really stopping you from just kind of attending the meetings and withdrawing from everything else.
Well, my role right now is morphed into business development. I have just purchased into a title company. I'm working on growing that into some other areas within the state of Tennessee, so I'm excited for that. I teach and coach within my team. I teach and coach within Keller Williams, so growing those opportunities as well. So I don't have a lot of my next step is to put a CEO or a GM in place that handles the day-to-day mundane, because I'm still at the point where everyone reports to me for the most part. So that's the next step for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think so. Jeff, my client Jeff Cohn, who is also a Viral client and good friends with the CEO of Viral. So Jeff has done kind of a little bit different approach to it. So he's going to maintain the CEO role, and he's got 2 people on his team. One that's the operations manager that handles the day-to-day mundane, and then he's got a success manager that takes over the coaching of the agents. So he kind of split that CEO, owner, or GM role up into two different roles, but effectively it's the same thing.
It's a great idea. I have Mark Spain in Atlanta is a good friend, and so he's been kind enough to let us shadow some of what they do, and he's taken that skill set, or he has that skill set I don't, of really fanning out that management. So that's something I'm looking to learn at this stage.
Yeah, was there any challenges or kind of hard lessons that you've learned over the years of building your team, and some of them some mistakes you've made? I think we talked about one of them, which is the disc profile, but if you want to get into that.
Well, I mean, when I first started a team, my friends said, "Oh, I want to be a part of your team." Awesome. And, they would be the type personality that was great for an administrative role, but they wanted to be an agent. Well, that doesn't work. And I haven't fired many people. I have a few people through the years, but, I had people that just were what they call cul-de-sac talent. They find their way into a cul-de-sac, can't find their way out. And it's so hard to find people who are proactive. That's really difficult. And as I get older, I guess the more I interview people, the more a gap of that. And when you have a team and things are going well and you have leads, everyone needs you. I'm looking for somebody that I need them. That's really the difference. And so, when you're interviewing, just a free tip, to how to impress Charlotte Mabry or someone that has a team, is I'm looking for somebody who comes in, you need me. I can do this, 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 and this. I've yet to hear someone say that to me. So that was a hard lesson. I've had people in the wrong seat on the bus, even on the wrong bus, but having that disc profile first and foremost is very, very important. And another great tip, and I learned this the hard way as well, is your other team members are valuable when it comes to interviewing a new one. Let them meet them, come into meetings together, get their seal of approval. Sometimes they don't want a new team member on because they perceive that as loss of business. Right. But having their perspective is important.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point, though. I mean, can you, are you able to kind of ramp up your lead generation and give them their own set of 40 to 50 leads to kind of combat that perception?
We wouldn't pull somebody on until we had that, and so. Watching, that's an important thing if you're growing a team, is you need to know your numbers and know how many leads are coming in, and really watch what your agents do. I've started now, I hadn't done this until this past year, really looking at my cost per agent, how much money I make per agent, so that I not only know what my cost per transaction is, what is each agent bringing me in per transaction on average. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching that, and then looking at my return on investment on all of our lead sources too, and now I have staff really watching things like Boomtown and the different online lead things, so we can watch. The other day, and of course this just makes me want to just be sick, but we go in there and look at this, and there's like 40,000 leads in Boomtown. We're like, really? Seriously? You let 40,000 people sit in there? Where's my gun? I want to shoot somebody, probably myself. But, there's the work we can do. If we didn't get another single lead, it wouldn't matter for probably 6 months. I mean, we've got so many things. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a constant effort. And even when you're good, and we're very good, what does I say, good is the enemy of great. And so we're always looking at, okay, are we just being lazy and not, we do a good job, we're satisfied, we need to not be satisfied.
Mm-hmm. Always got to be striving for more. You can never be happy with your past. You're always going to be wanting to be bigger and better than anybody else. We came in 7th in our company here, which I'm pissed about. And I talked to my manager. That's still the top 3%, and I'm gunning for number 2. I'm wanting number 2. And he's like, all right, go for it, because like you do with your team, you're always putting new systems into
Sure.
place and helping you guys progress, so that you know, like we're talking about, you know, once you exit this thing, it's going to continue to pay you as a somewhat as a retirement program, give or take.
Well, my son is now one of our administrators. His personality is more in line with administrating than it was selling, and he loves being here. Well, that's a whole other thought pattern of exit. Okay, I don't want to leave my child hanging out there. You know, it's his grandkids. You know, I can look out for my grandchildren.
Not him, yes, but the grandbaby is much more so.
Absolutely.
But that's the great thing about if you get a real estate team right, if you structure it right, in the sense that you've got the right management in place, you can, I mean, it literally can fund your retirement in the sense that you can just monitor and just make sure that people that directly report to you, almost as a chairman of the board type role, are the right people. And as long as they're the right people, you're golden. And as long as our commission structures don't radically change, that business will just keep humming for the next 20 or 30 years. It will, I mean, it'll literally fund your retirement.
Absolutely.
There was a lady, her name was Sherry. She was on our show a while back. She was down in your neck of the woods. And she built a team and then literally just stepped out and paychecks just rolled in, you know. So it's very, very doable as long as you know what you're doing. You nailed it on the head, Charlotte. You've done a phenomenal job.
Well, my real goal at this stage of my life is to do absolutely nothing and make a boatload of money. So.
We have the same goal? Oh, my gosh.
That's funny. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it up there. We could talk for a long time on lead generation and teams and how leads are distributed and compensation structures and stuff like that, but that might get a little bit too into the weeds. So maybe that's a conversation for another day. But Charlotte, it was a pleasure to have you. We thank you so much. So first of all, let's talk about this. So how do people send you referrals in Chattanooga?
Fantastic. Simple thing is just Charlotte at charlottemabryteam.com. That's the best way to get me, or just Google for Charlotte Mabry. It's Mabry, charlottemabryteam.com. And you can find us, and we'd be very grateful. We love referrals and work very hard.
Yeah. Yep, and it's and her team is very, very easy to find because you are all over the interwebs.
Interweb.
Because you are because you have such a great team and have a very, very dominant place in the marketplace there, so you're very easy to find and would take great care of anybody that gets sent your way. I know that for sure.
If you have one of those old brick cell phones, that's the big brick cell phone, just call me on that.
Not even a clamshell, the old bricks, huh?
The old brick. Yeah. I used to use one of those.
I believe it. And Greg, how do people reach you on your fancy iPhone?
Ooh, my fancy dancy iPhone. And it's sitting right here. It still hasn't rung, guys. Dial these numbers in a sequential order, please. 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. Like we were talking about before, guys, take the McDaniel challenge, get off your ass, do something positive for yourself besides just drinking, the 64 ounce liter of cola and a double cheeseburger. Get on and call me for some free coaching times. I have March 31st available. I have April 5th available, and then we're going to jump to April 19th for booking dates. So do it. Stop being yourself and start doing something positive. Beth, I want to say thank you, by the way. I forgot to shout out for you. Beth sent me a happy St. Patty's Day, so what an amazing thing, and I'm sorry you couldn't walk your cat today. But
yeah. Okay. Anyway, so a couple things real quick before we finish up. Just a quick thank you again to Viral Marketing and to Equity. So for Viral, you can check them out at getviral.com, and then Equity, get a hold of Greg, take the McDaniel Challenge, and he'll get you hooked up. So for next week, next Friday, we have a really, really phenomenal guest. Lars Hedenberg is going to join us. We're going to talk all about scaling up buyer business, going after expired listings, building out a team, exiting your team. So it's going to be another super, super high-level discussion on how to kick butt in real estate. It's going to be awesome. And then if any of you follow or have seen the stuff that I've done with Jeff Cohn in terms of the live, not the live, but the Hangouts. So on Monday, our recruiting mastermind with Joshua Smith hits Inman News, so that's on Monday. So check that out. And so he's Joshua Smith is a ridiculously good agent, a mega agent. He has a team of 60 down in the Phoenix area. So really cool interview with those two guys.
That's not a team, dude. That's an office.
That's it's pretty much he's under a broker, but he is a broker within a broker, basically.
That's awesome for him.
So
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, with that said, Charlotte, thank you so much once again. We will see all the viewers back here on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, guys, we love you. We can't wait to see you, and hit me up on Facebook, and so you can give me a vote on that photo. I want to see your thoughts.
Oh, and I want to see it too. So badly. Please go on and comment because I can't wait to hear what Rex does.
Matt just wants to see me get ridiculed mercilessly in the public forum.
I do. So if you guys could do that for me so that I don't have to be the bad guy, that'd be awesome. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
See you guys.